What do you get when Satisfactory meets the sprawling nature of Factorio? You get Satisfactorio. Now, you may have seen this world a few times prior, as it's been highlighted several times by the devs. Built by Buildorama, it's clear from above how similar it is in nature to a circuit board, with all of the elements connected and coming together. And it's something that I really want to talk about. And this particular factory is one of 3 incredible builds we're going to be checking out in this save today. Starting off, we find ourselves in the Crater Lakes, standing before this impressive aluminium and oil processing setup. What probably stands out first of all are the ramps lit with billboards rising up into the pink forest. The asymmetric shape almost parallels the steep edges of the crater below, then reaching up along the cliffside. The open nature of it presents a strong industrial vibe, something present throughout, and seeing at a glance the crisscrossing of belts and trains moving back and forth gives off the impression of a living, breathing facility, something that is arguably lost on the outside of a factory that's built with large solid walls and roofed, such as the ones that I often build. Another thing that I love about this is how the train stations are behind this build, with the pillars flowing down the sides into the layers below, building on the iconic train station look that Satisfactory has. The clear sections of this facility are nicely organized, and thanks to the multiple levels in use, it feels very compact, but no way does it feel cramped. I also love how Buildorama structures the architecture around the facility, with piping of the refineries playing as much a part of the aesthetics and the outside feel of the build, alongside what's the concrete walls, struts and glass. And finally, a note that I want to pick up on the architecture. I feel that the billboards that stand out, though are very simple, add a lot to the aesthetic of the build. They kind of catch our eyes, but they don't detract from the beauty of the build. They also nicely bring the red forest down to the Crater Lake, something I think has been very well done. Now, next we will follow the aluminium ingot bus back to the main facility, but don't worry, we'll talk about the incredible nuclear facility soon after. But before we do move on, please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing to myself and Buildorama's YouTube. I'll put a link to his channel below if you do want to see more. The bus is simplistic and well structured, making use of straight lines and right angles. The design features conveyors that are grouped and brought along as support of several walled conveyors. It's easy to do, but I always find connecting the resources to this style of support quite difficult, something which really stands out to me here. As you can see, the resources are brought from the smaller Caterium facility and the surrounding nodes up to the bus, neatly collected and elevated before being sent to the main facility at the edge of the rocky desert. This particular save has a total of 350 hours in it, and it truly is a gem. If you spotted the cannons located either side of this build, I should mention they were beautifully done using the micromanage mod, stretching the original buildables, which is a liquid packager below, followed by a biomass generator and fluid buffer. I'm honestly astounded at how well they've come out, and it definitely gives off this Factorio vibe. The outer walls are made up of working manufacturers, buses and power storage above that. The symmetry between the buses and the manufacturers reminds me of flags kind of draping down the sides, something that's helped further with the use of the signs going downwards. And then we have in the center tower. The entrance leads to a dock for the train, which takes items to the nuclear facility, with 90% of the products being produced in this main factory for that. Above here you can actually see a selection of signs which shows off the production values of this build, and despite its relatively small footprint, it is unbelievable just how much is being produced here. Looking over the factory, the conveyor and pipe buses stand out out as the arteries of the factory, spread across several layers and making their way through the whole build. And it's impossible to not stand in awe at the organization of this build. Regardless of the endless lines of production undergo, there's plenty of space to walk through, with attention brought to the design around these areas. Occasionally it's necessary to use a hypertube, notably to the control room, which makes great use, once again, of the micromanage mod, giving us the belief that this is a working facilities control room. And I love how open the view is to the whole facility here, allowing us to really take in the vastness of this project. From here we can see that opposite we have both a central tower slightly to the right and the storage, which is directly opposite, both overlooking the factory as well as featuring drone ports for bringing in extra materials. Looking over the outside, there are elements to this build which certainly don't feel finished, but this could be due to me not using all of the necessary mods to run this. Regardless, this factory is a true feat of engineering and imagination, producing a total of 46 assembly director systems per minute, as well as the resources to produce 280,000 megawatts of power. And you can bet all of the resources that aren't used in the nuclear facility are all being sunk for coupons. Speaking of the nuclear facility, we will head there now, but what truly blows my mind about this build is how optimized this is for my PC. The sparse use of signs and lighting, along with machines making full use of overclocking, allow this buttery smooth performance, which means working on this build is almost as relaxing as listening to the music that I co-produced, which you can find a link to my Spotify below, or why not check out the music here on YouTube. Regardless, following the train line, our next stop is going to be that nuclear facility, which is located here in the Spire Coast. This is in itself, once again, an industrial marvel, with the center of the facility holding 2 nuclear cores, and in between we have an elevator bus where all the uranium is brought to the facility via drones. Along with those, we also have the resources that are brought in via train. This facility is then able to produce all of the needed radiated items to run each of these reactors to 250% clock speed, with the waste then being turned into plutonium fuel rods and sunk. Now, this doesn't mean that the area is radiation free. In fact, this time the compact industrial design becomes its greatest weakness, making radiation levels very high throughout the build. This doesn't take away from its grandeur though. Needless to say, the design is beautiful, playing with each buildable's aesthetics with the use of micromanage mod to give off a given theme, such as these vertical coal generators in the central cores, or the stretched water extractors for turbines below. All in all, this is a magnificent build, and I'm so happy to have got the opportunity to check this out. And if you'd like me to check out your build and have it featured in a future video, then do join my Discord, the link is in the description below, and submit a factory tour application, and perhaps we'll see yours in the next video. But we're going to leave it there. Special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solo-Clips patrons, James Owen, Firefless and Trebor, as well as our Lunas, the Calamity, Ben, Star, Shoku the MN Wolf, and that dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Deuce. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.